This is Kent Mulgat with KelownaNow, joined by Tom Dyas, President of the Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, Kent.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you for the invitation.
The hot button topic we've been talking to a lot of people about lately is the issue of homelessness and transients in the downtown.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you are not only representing businesses in this community, but you're on this task force that the city has set up.
Yes,
So,
I am.
yeah.
I think when the task force, or I know when the task force was looked at being implemented, they wanted input from different areas of the community, from the providers who look at taking care of these individuals, but also from the businesses. So they did put on the task force representation from the business community. There are 3 of us that are on there from the business community, and we do our best to communicate the concerns of businesses throughout Kelowna.
So when I read up on how the city has sort of set out what their goals were for this, it did seem like it was a little bit general. Things like preventing homelessness long term, when I think that the business community would probably want to be more focused on real solutions right now for the existing homeless population. Do you feel that the task force is getting to some specific responses to the issue?
I think you're correct. When we initially started, there was conversation around what direction we're going to go. What are the hot buttons? What are the things that we need to address? As many people have said, this is an extremely complex issue. There are addictions, there are mental health issues, there's a criminal aspect involved in it. I know what has been shaping and what has been forming is better clarification around what needs to be done in order to move forward with this, not only at the end of June or when this task force is completed, but also what can be done in order that this continues to move forward into the future.
Right, so we're 6 months in.
Yes.
Do you feel that there's real progress being made?
Yes. I feel that there is progress being made. This committee started, I know there is previous reports, I have read previous reports that have been communicated in years past. This committee is now at a point where it is broken into different sections, and there's different sections working on different projects. And one of the areas that we're working on is the strength from a governance standpoint on what that will look like moving forward, but also from a financial funding standpoint. How is this going to propel itself into the future, and how is it going to be funded? There is a lot of conversation that happens, and out of the conversation a report comes, but the report at the end of the day needs to be funded in order to move anything forward. Those discussions are taking place now. We are starting in the beginning of those discussions, and hopefully over the next 90 days we'll have better clarification on the avenues that are available for us to provide some of that funding, or to start providing some of that funding.
So often these sorts of studies end up at the end with what looks like hopes and dreams, and not things we can start doing on Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
And so you feel in this case it's not just going to be hopes and dreams.
Well, one of the business part of it, the business part of this that we've been asked to communicate is the businesses understand that there is a concern, there's things that have to be done, they want to be involved, they want to help. But their ask of this also is that there is something immediate. We know that this is a long-term problem. We know that this problem just doesn't exist within Kelowna. It exists throughout the country. It's almost in every city, throughout our country and throughout other countries. But what can we do immediately at this point in time? And so part of what is coming out of the conversation now is, how do we deal with the acute situation today?
That's good to hear. And one of the things I like about what I'm hearing is they're using this phrase, housing first, which, it does seem like a no-brainer. When you have a homelessness problem, you probably need a lot of homes to solve it. And that costs a lot of money, though. But I would also argue that not solving it is also expensive. Do you agree with that?
I agree. And the great thing about where we are right now is provincially and federally, there are funds available, and they're making funds available to address homelessness. The trick or the plan has to also, where does that exist? And I know the city. I know the individuals within the city are taking a good look at this. There is always that comeback saying, well, you know what, we don't want it in our neighborhood, or we don't want it in this neighborhood. So how does it work? And I think what they're looking at doing is, how do we disperse this so that it's evenly dispersed throughout the community,
Right.
so that everyone shares a little bit in what's happening within our community. Because if everybody doesn't share a little bit, then it gets very, very strongly concentrated in one specific area, which I think is damaging.
Yeah. The other thing that I sometimes see is when you get the different levels of government designing some sort of a housing project, by the time all of that wish list gets put together, the per unit cost is so high that I feel that those precious dollars didn't go as far as they could have to deal with the broader need. You know what I'm saying? When you build brand new homes for a bunch of homeless people that a lot of the working people would be jealous of, you haven't really,
And it is a tough discussion, because at the same time, in order for it to go into neighborhoods, and we've had some wonderful projects happen within our community that are developed and individuals are living in at this point in time, spread throughout the city. But the last thing that, first of all, somebody potentially does not want it in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
But the last thing they truly would want in their neighborhood is something that's an eyesore. So if you're going to look at potentially bringing it into a neighborhood, you have to make sure that it at least fits, the look of the neighborhood, and so that it isn't something that extremely damages property values around,
right.
and is comfortable, and doesn't look like, for the individuals who are trying to reset their lives, that they're living in something that is
right.
A extremely low standard.
Tough balance there, I'm sure.
Yes.
But you're uniquely positioned, with one foot in the chamber, one foot on this task force to answer this. Is the downtown business community at odds with where the task force is going? Are there any key sort of sticking points where they think the task force is heading in the wrong direction?
They're not at. From the communications I've had with the downtown business community, they are not at odds. They see what's on the street, and what, to go back to my point before, what they want is, they want something now. They don't want a study to come out and produce something that's saying we have to work on, something which is 12 months down the road, or 24 months down the road, or 36 months down the road, because there are businesses in town and in other areas of town, not only here, throughout the community, that are losing revenue and losing customers, because people are not, patronizing their business. And so they want something immediate. From the conversations we've had, and the open conversations that we've had with individuals from the Journey Home Task Force and the businesses, it's amazing how much the business are saying, communicate with us. Let us know what we can do so that we can become a partner in this to help move your plan forward. We've had a couple of meetings in the last little bit, and the communication has been very, very good from the city standpoint, from our mayor standpoint, from all the officials within the city hall, and also the businesses. They want to help, but they want to be communicated with.
Right.
They want to know what's going on. They don't want to be kind of all of a sudden hearing about it at the last minute, because then that's what I think gets people up in arms.
I think some people are already saying that the target is to reach sort of a functioning zero. Is that the term of homelessness? I'll believe that when I see it. But are you optimistic that there will be some noticeable benefits out of all this process?
The breakdown that in discussion is that there's basically about 33 and a third of these individuals who are addicts. There's about 33 and a third of these individuals who have some form of mental illness, and then there's about 33 and a third that have a criminal aspect of it. I think where there's service providers in place to help deal with the addicts and the mental illness. I think where we can start to make a difference is to truly look at that criminal aspect of it and see what we can do to slow down that, so that our downtown core is enjoyable for people to be in.
All right. Before we put a bow on that topic, anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted to say with regards to that one? Because there was another issue that you did want to bring up that the Chamber is interestingly putting forward, and that is to take a complete departure from homelessness. The fact that it's hard to get your own physician in Kelowna these days, and in a lot of communities.
Well, and I'm not certain if it's a complete departure or whether it kind of falls in place a little bit tongue and groove with regards to it. They find that there's a lot of mental illness or a lot of potential homelessness that starts at an early age or a younger age, and carries through, and some of that may be because parents or individuals are at loss and they don't have access to the proper type of health care that should be available to them. And some of that comes because people can't get in to see physicians. One of the policies one of the platforms that the Chamber has taken, which we're trying to move forward, is to allow physicians to operate like a business, and to allow them to have someone who runs alongside them as a physician extender, so that instead of a walk-in clinic being able to see 40 or 45 individuals within a day, they could potentially look at doubling that, because they would have somebody who could deal with some of the simpler processes that they have to deal with, but they could also bill our medical system for it. At this point in time, their hands are tied. They're not able to do that. And part of that limited number means that maybe there's less access to those physicians, which could potentially assist in some of, or allow them to spend more time. So they're spending more time potentially with some of these individuals who also are not getting the medical treatment and potentially end up on our streets.
So the catchword is physician extenders. We'll
Correct.
probably be hearing more about that. You've got some lobbying to do, I think, on that issue.
We do, yes.
Terrific. Hey, Tom, I really appreciate you coming in. Tom Dyas,
Kent,
President
thank you so
of the
much.
Chamber of Commerce. Really enjoyed our time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's Kent Mulgat for Kelowna Now.